we did have a will sighting, so.
Oh, good, good. We've been seeing wandering
That's me, Bailey.
All right. Okay, well, we'll get this meeting started off. Thank you all for attending. We'll start the meeting with the first agenda item, which is Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, Supervisor Warren will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just to let you know, the Chairman Gomez is attending remotely while he's still recovering, so we'll just continue to keep him in our prayers so that he gets his shoulder better. Nothing serious, but you know, the shoulder, get his shoulder back and operate, and then he'll be back in the room. So, all right, next agenda item is call to the public. Any call to the public?
My name is Jean Swanison. I am part-time with engineering, and I just wanted to give you a little, short Jean Swanison here. A little bit of a progress report on the community wildfire protection plan that I've been working on. The old one is almost 20 years old, so seriously out of date. There were a couple of groups that particularly would like to have it updated, and that was the Forest Service, partly because that's one of their access to funding is through this, because anything that's in the WUI area is something that is potential to get funded, and their funding was cut quite a bit. And also a lot of the ranchers who are in the front line of fires. So those are the ones who I've been working with the most. They're in the update. It's very interesting to me that in the old plan there were, or actually what the Arizona Department of Forestry had identified as the two most at-risk communities in Greeley County were the Blue, logically enough, and Sheldon. Crazily enough. So I have been trying to get them to change that and make it into the Upper Eagle Creek, which is obviously a lot more endangered, especially some of their evacuation routes. So I did present the rough draft of this to the community, to the Greeley County cattle growers on August 23rd. And because that's where I wanted to get some of the things filled in. There are still no maps with it. We're working on Forest Service GIS layers, and they're working with JoJo to try to get this pulled together. Part of the problem with that is because Joe Names, who this has been promoted, he's now the fire management officer. So, and also the Morenci fire chief has retired. So lots of changes just in trying to get this done. But that means that my contact list is really up to date now because I just finally got that done. There's still a number of questions in there to confirm and so forth. And I've sent those out to people who can do that. And I brought a copy along to show you again. It's just still a rough draft, but I brought just one. I don't know who might want it.
Okay.
I'll pass it down to Ron when we're done here.
There you go.
Thank you.
There's one small joke at the end, just to see if anybody reads it.
Well, thank you for that update. Thank you. Anybody else in call to the public? All right. Seeing none, we will move into agenda item 2, the Public Health Service District. The Board of Supervisors will convene as the Board of Directors of the Greeley County Public Health Service District and will reconvene as the Board of Supervisors following consideration of the following items. A, consent agenda.
I move that we adopt the consent agenda as noted.
Second that motion.
All right, been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. All right, we'll go to agenda item, we'll reconvene as the Board of Supervisors. We'll go to agenda item 3, Flood Control District. The Board of Supervisors will convene as the Board of Directors of the Greeley County Flood Control District and will reconvene as the Board of Supervisors following consideration of the following items. A, consent agenda.
I move that we adopt the consent agenda as written.
Second that motion.
All right, been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. All right, we'll reconvene as the Board of Supervisors, and we'll go to agenda item 4, Christopher Carrillo, a supervisory wildlife biologist. Please join us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mr. Rapier. Board, thank you guys. With me, I brought Mr. Sterling Simpson. He's our new wildlife specialist. He replaced Mr. J.R. Murdoch, who retired just over a year ago. So in speaking with Mr. Rapier regarding our agreement, asked that I just provide an overview of the Wildlife Services Program. And so this is just an overview of the work that we're doing here in Greenlee County and then across the board and how we do that. So our program, Wildlife Services, federal, part of USDA, our mission is to provide federal expertise to resolve wildlife-human conflicts. In doing so, we protect agriculture. So we help ranchers, farmers, both with crop damage, dairies, feedlots, associated damage from, not only predators, but also birds, other species that cause damage to agricultural resources. We do a lot of work to protect human health and safety. So when wildlife attacks people, we get a lot of javelina, black bears, mountain lions, coyotes, foxes. We do a lot of work at airports in the state. Most of our military air bases, Davis Monthan, Luke, we have biologists and technicians on staff, minimizing the impacts that birds and mammals have on aircraft. We do a lot of work at GAs, which are general aviation airports. We call them certificated airports. Those are the FAA, like Sky Harbor, Tucson International, where FAA gets involved with the 139 regulations when it comes to wildlife. So we do work there. And then we do a lot of disease work here in the state. So all the wildlife that we capture for routine wildlife damage management, we do a lot of in-house testing. So for rabies, plague, tularemia, we do some feral swine work, so swine brucellosis, classical swine fever, those diseases that potentially have the impact to cross over from livestock or from wildlife into livestock has the potential to do damage. Right now, we have a specialist that's working along the Mexico-Arizona border doing African swine fever surveillance. African swine fever is detected about 300 miles south of the border. And so we're doing active surveillance and then management to capture or remove any swine that potentially could cross over into Arizona, because that would be a devastating impact to Arizona's agriculture. So we do a lot of rabies work here in Greenlee County. We've done work with the county animal control on any wildlife that potentially is diseased or suspected of being diseased. I have a biologist on staff that we do DRIT testing, direct rapid immunohistochemical field test, i.e. DRIT. And it's a rapid field test. So any animals that are non-pet or human exposure, we will get those in our office. We will test them. If we get a positive confirmation, we send that to CDC for confirmation and typing. Here in Arizona, unfortunately, we have three variants, we call them. We have gray fox, bats, and skunk rabies. Humans are, susceptible to all three types of rabies. So, and if we do get animals, let's say for the county, if you get a sample, a bat, a skunk, a fox, bobcats, you could send those to us and we will test those free of charge. We had, and I got to get with Sterling, a freezer at the animal control office here in the past. So if they captured any wildlife out there doing routine work, they could just freeze it. We would pick it up and ship it to our office. And that is no cost testing for, we work with the county animal control, the health departments for enhanced surveillance program. So we test over 400 wildlife samples across the state for part of enhanced surveillance. So just a small portion of what we do for human health and safety. Property protection, not only, we consider livestock property, but we do a lot of skunks, raccoons, foxes that are causing damage. These pictures are from the urban community. We get a lot of waterfowl damage to grass, to parks, to golf courses, backyard pools, a lot of feces, which costs cleanup. And so there's a lot of, impact that wildlife has on personal property, public property, etc. This type of damage occurs on air stations, airports, and all over, our shopping centers. We do in the valley, we do a lot of work at our shopping centers, our food courts, where wildlife are causing damage. And then natural resources. You guys all know, you guys are in the northern part, is our Mexican gray wolf population. We do a tremendous amount of work on the Mexican gray wolf project. Our primary duties are for conducting depredation investigations. So a resource owner calls, they have a mortality, they don't know what it is, they call Sterling. We have two other gentlemen that live, one lives in Alpine, one lives in Springerville, and they do primarily depredation investigations. So they'll go out, look at the carcass, determine what caused that mortality through a necropsy. I have two specialists that are on the Mexican gray wolf project, so they're implementing non-lethal management techniques to deter predation on livestock. If the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service issues a removal order, we're the agency that implements that removal order on the behalf of the Fish and Wildlife Service. To either sometimes they're capture and remove to captivity, or it's a lethal removal. So depends on the option. We do some antelope protection, not so much in Greenlee County, but we've done some in Graham County on the other side of Mount Graham, and then down into Cochise County. We have some work we do with ferrets in the north, out by Williams, west of Williams, Seligman, protecting black-footed ferrets, some endangered species. And the one close to home is we do some work on Mount Graham, protecting the Mount Graham red squirrel, and removing A-birch tree squirrels. A-birch tree squirrels aren't endemic to Mount Graham. They were reintroduced in the 40s by Arizona Game and Fish Department, and they've done really well. So well that they've outcompeted or are outcompeting the Mount Graham red squirrels. And in the 2017 Fry Fire, Mount Graham red squirrels went down to about 30 some individuals. We've been doing removals, and the numbers are in the 150s. So they're climbing back up. The only thing that we can do is remove competition. We can't plant more trees, put more water, produce more cones, and so reducing that. So one small thing we do for resource damage. This is our authorities. We work under the Animal Damage Control Act. Gives us authority to control the animals that we do. We have a Rural Development Act, says we would enter into agreements with states, counties, private agencies, publics. And then for this, agency, we do have a cooperative agreement with the county where we do a 50-50 cost share. And then we have our Arizona revised statute where we also entered agreement with the county or with the Department of Agriculture, and they give us some money, which we split, and we contribute about 3,000 of that, 4,000 of that to the counties to kind of offset some of those costs as well. So just some of our authorities there. We adhere to lots of wildlife laws and regulations, Endangered Species Act, Migratory Bird Treaty Act, Fish and Wildlife, all the NEPA, FIFRA, and then we have a lot of wildlife services policies and directives ourselves. How do we provide assistance? A couple ways. One we call technical assistance, is where somebody calls us, we provide them with some advice on how they can resolve the issue themselves. Sometimes it's as merely as hanging mylar, or do some habitat modification in their yard, exclude wildlife. Other times, if they're unable to do that, then we provide direct control, where we actually go and capture that animal or do some work for them to harassment, et cetera, pesticides or something to that effect to resolve that conflict. Some work that we've done here historically, I've been in Arizona on this particular position 21 years. I'm not a native Arizonan. I'm from Grant County, Silver City, New Mexico. However, my mom was born here in Morenci, born in space a long time ago. And so have a, close affiliation to this county and growing up, next door. So we've done a lot of mountain lion damage here. A lot of the ranchers have a ton of damage, bear damage. We've done a lot of coyotes, down here in the southern part. We've worked a lot with the county animal control on feral dog issues. And then as you all know, Mexican gray wolf issues are a big concern and have been a big concern and probably will continue to be a big concern as the populations continue to grow. Some natural resources work, property damage. We've done some skunk work here along the river over the pass, some raccoon damage. And then we've done, like I said, mentioned earlier, rabies testing, sampling, and then some human health and safety concerns. I know Sterling was out here at the school and their 4-H or FFA animals were having some coyote issues, and we came out and removed some coyotes that were damaging their resources there. So a lot of different work that most people don't get to see where we're providing assistance. Like I mentioned, the other specialist, we have Caleb Garzanelli. He's our Mexican wolf specialist who spends a considerable amount of time in the northern part of Greenlee County, assisting those cooperators with depredation investigations. And with non-lethal fox lights, fladry, human harassment. We have paintball guns, pepper ball guns. We have a drone. So other techniques to minimize the impacts that those wolves have. And when those guys are doing work within Greenlee County, it's a work that we're going to do anyway, part of the wolf program. And so it's at no fee, additional fee to the county when we're doing work here. Just to put a map of Arizona, you'll see the yellow dots. Those are some of our positions over by Lake Havasu City. We got some feral swine issues. North of Phoenix, another position where we're doing feral swine work. The yellow dot in Phoenix is we have 2 biologists and a technician at Luke Air Force Base. I have an urban specialist in Phoenix that does all the wildlife issues. The 2 dots over there by Springerville Navajo County we have a specialist on the White Mountain Apache tribe. 1 specialist that does wolf work on the tribe as well. Then you go to Springerville Alpine, 2 specialists, 1 out of Springerville, just in the process of hiring another specialist. He'll start on the 1st of October and probably be working in Greenlee County on wolf issues. Then we have Greenlee County. Should move that dot up because Sterling's right, I think he's a mile into Apache County, but he lives right on the line of Greenlee County. And then down south, we have our African swine fever specialist that's working on feral swine. We have a Cochise County wildlife specialist, and then Davis Monthan Air Force Base out of Tucson. So a lot of different work around the state there. So, we do some aerial work. We're slated to, we have a couple cooperators down here in the south that hopefully will get on board. And what we do for aerial is we have fixed wing aircraft. We do have some rotary wing aircraft with our Texas program that will come and we'll shoot coyotes from the air. So very effective in removing coyotes, large numbers over a short period of time. Typically, we do antelope protection as well. And we talk about disease surveillance. We'll work with the state. They'll collect those samples and then test for rabies, plague, tuberculosis, all the different diseases that affect wildlife and potentially, agriculture. I mentioned the Mount Graham Red Squirrel project, close to home. A lot of you guys probably been up to Mount Graham. And so that's the work I mentioned earlier. We got a specialist working there. We do a lot of disease management. I mentioned that earlier. AI is a big topic affecting our poultry industry. And then these other diseases that when we do remove wildlife, we will test that. Again, if your animal control is out there capturing wildlife and they're euthanizing wildlife and they want that tested, reach out to myself, to Sterling. We'll get the freezer, Sterling will come pick it up, and we'll get it shipped to our office for testing. It's a good program as part of enhanced surveillance. Something that if we did have because Greenlee County historically has had gray fox rabies outbreaks in the past. It's always a good idea to get a pulse of what the diseases are doing because those potentially have an impact to humans. We get a lot of recreation here and any mammal susceptible to getting rabies if you're not vaccinated. If you do get reports of people being bit by wildlife, contact the health department immediately, have them get evaluated, and they will recommend whether post-exposure prophylaxis is required, and then rabies vaccinations following that. So always err on the side of caution, because if we do get bit by a rabid animal and we get the onset of the disease, it's not treatable. 99.9%, you're going to die if we do get that disease. So always, if we get post-exposure treatment, it's a 100% recovery. So it's good to get treated. I mentioned our feral swine, where we do have swine in Arizona. We always mention to our cooperators, the counties, if you do get swine detection, especially along our corridors, our drainages, the Gila River, San Francisco River drainages, because that's where they're isolated. Because Arizona is so dry, they like to stick to our riparian corridors. We do have some, Wilcox, the Bowie area, of course, the San Pedro River corridor north of Benson, Pima, and those are the close ones. North of Phoenix, we have some near Dugas, the Havasu National Wildlife Refuge, and then we have populations in the northern part of the state along the Virgin River and the border of Utah, Nevada. So our state, we have a high probability of eradication because our populations are low and they're localized. So if you do get any reports of swine, because we do get a lot of reports, but a lot of times they're javelina. But I have a specialist in Benson that if we did get a sighting here, we would send them over, set up some trail cameras, and start surveillance to detect. And then if we detected them, then our goal would be to remove them. So just something to bring up. I mentioned our military, air stations, bases. And with that, my contact information is on top. Sterling Simpson's contact. Again, if any residents, livestock producers, property owners having issues with wildlife, please have them reach out so that we can help them resolve those conflicts. So with that, I'll take any questions. Anybody has any?
Oh, it's thank you for sharing. That's a lot of work you guys are doing, and I got to shout out to Sterling. You probably were up there on the Blue at their summer meeting. I wasn't able to make it, but I'm glad to finally meet you, and I've heard some really great things about you from my constituents up there. So they're really enjoying and appreciating the service you're providing to them. So anyway, shout out to you.
Yeah, and again, if any of them have any issues, concerns, questions, have them reach out to myself. Again, Sterling's number's there, and we'll go from there. But thanks again.
Great.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for sharing. That was very good.
Thank you, guys.
We'll tell you that Chris has been very accessible and working through this contract and changes we've had over the last year and a half. It's been good to work with him.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. David, did you have something? Or
No, I just want to say, I just want to thank Chris for being so thorough and informative on his presentation. Looks like we got a good man on this job. Thank you.
Good deal. And more than likely, your mom must have known David because he's been here forever too, so. All right, well, thank you for that info. Move into agenda item 5, Tyler Attaway, Jail Commander. Discussion regarding approval of the RFPs for the Sheriff's Office Uniform Equipment and Accessories Purchase Program.
Morning, Tyler Attaway, Jail Commander, Greenlee County Sheriff's Office. So this morning I have submitted for your approval a request for proposal that will, if a contract is reached and you guys agree to sign it, it will change how the uniform staff are provided money to purchase uniforms moving forward. Currently, it's we get $100 in our first paycheck every month. So that $100 has to go to buy all of our uniforms and whatever it is that we need to do our jobs. The point of this RFP is to increase buying power. And what I mean by that is that $100, I think we can make stretch a little bit more than what we currently get. So or not get, but do with it. Where that $100 would be taxed by income and multiple sales taxes. If we could move to what I'm proposing in this RFP, where we go with one singular vendor and uniform staff have a $1,200 allowance at that vendor, then we can eliminate income tax on that money and severely limit sales tax depending on how many times people are buying from that vendor. This was voted on by all of our uniform staff and majority ruled they wanted to move to this type of service versus what we're already doing. So I hope I didn't oversimplify that. I'm trying not to take up too much time. But of course, I'm happy to entertain any questions on it.
Is there, well, one question is that's going to improve in standardization. I mean, because you're going to have one source and one obviously set of equipment. So you're going to try to standardize all that equipment because I'm assuming that now, they get that allowance at $100 and they might buy their flashlight from Amazon or something rather than, get the actual, product that you're trying to standardize across officers. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know that it will be so granular like that, but we with this program we would have the option to say these are the flashlights that you can purchase.
Yeah.
To make it more uniform, to make it more economical.
And this is the vendor that you buy them from.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly. Just to kind of explain it a little bit too. Right now, we give people the money to go purchase whatever they need, and they purchase it from a shirt from ABC vendor, and then take it to XYZ seamstress, and it's there's costs associated with that and time. So we're trying to just hone the process.
And you said the officers were aware of this and they're good with it?
Absolutely. Majority. I'll say majority because we put it to
Majority rules.
Yeah, exactly.
Just curious of those that may have not been supportive of it. Was there reasonings behind why some would not be supportive of it?
When you give somebody $100 to put in their pocket,
right,
and there's no tie to it,
yeah.
Sometimes they'd rather have that.
But the expectation is that their equipment and uniforms are in good working order and that they have those.
Exactly.
Derek, is there anything, it doesn't sound like there's any impact as far as cost to the county. I mean, the amount would not be any different. It's just that we wouldn't be providing that directly to the officers.
I think over time we'll actually see cost reductions.
Yeah.
Like I say, as it is right now, it's given in the form of a stipend.
Mm-hmm.
And then the officers go out and buy what they need. I don't know whether or not every officer needs $100 a month to keep up. I have no idea. But since they will now have a single source to go to, and then that's the only place they can spend the money, I think over time, the cost will actually reduce.
How would the process work for us as far as do we still on a monthly basis just send that amount to that vendor that ultimately gets awarded? Or do we send that annually of $1,200 per officer to that vendor? I'm just kind of curious how that process is going to work.
And Tyler probably has a better answer, but
Yeah, so it would be no different than us right now going to a vendor, any preferred vendor, and just buying something for the department. They would
Mhm.
just bill the department
Right.
on the visit.
Okay. Per officer.
Exactly.
And then you just keep track of that spend.
Yep.
That annual spend and make sure that it doesn't exceed the.
And that's part of the RFP is the vendor, whoever decides that they would like this contract, it's their responsibility to keep track of the annual allowance for that officer and what's spent up to that point. After that point, then the officer pays out of pocket.
Yeah. How many vendors do you believe would be interested in servicing this? And is this a model that is working in the industry for other counties and or municipalities?
So because of the way the RFP is written, vendor has to have a storefront in Arizona, and there are really only 4, maybe 5 vendors who could potentially be interested. So we'll see what we get.
Okay.
we also will work with Tyler and his folks to develop some internal controls as well, because while we're going to give the responsibility to the vendor to keep track of accounts, if you will, we also have a responsibility to keep track of that internally as well.
Right.
And you're also going to require them to have online, I read in here, and such like that, so that they have that versatility.
Yeah. And that's really important for us because all these guys are based in Phoenix.
Yeah, you may not have.
We don't want to have to drive to Phoenix every time we need something. So they've got to be able to be flexible with how they take our orders and how the goods are delivered.
And just for my clarification, sorry, Ron.
No, go ahead.
So the individual deputy will have a $1,200 account for the year, right? And if he or she chooses to utilize $600 of that, the other 600 will go on to the next year's tab, or?
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about that one. I'll have to defer to the financial people.
I think
yeah.
that's called
There
the
is-
cost savings that Derek
Yeah.
was mentioning.
Yeah.
So that would behoove the deputy to utilize their full amount
Right.
of, since they're not getting a stipend anymore.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might help them have better uniform condition and everything else too.
Yeah.
Because I know some tend to, I would be one that would not want to buy a new uniform and use the money. But this may, if they're urged to utilize that amount, that
Yeah.
may help
exactly.
them be more,
That's
have better uniforms.
That's an in-house issue that we're hoping to address too, is
Yeah.
then that gives us a little bit more leverage to make sure that people are utilizing their uniform allowance and wearing good, proper uniforms instead of making sure a garment lasts 4 or 5 decades.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
My wife accuses me of that all the time.
yeah. So,
That shirt is 1983, but
another benefit for us would be when we have new hires, instead of scrambling to try to help them afford even just one set of uniforms or something, we can say, okay, here's your uniform allowance, go purchase what you need, show up for work and be ready to work.
yeah, with everything that they need.
Mm-hmm.
I'm anxious to see how many people respond, how many groups respond to your
Yeah.
RFP.
Me too.
Yeah, that sounds good. I have no issues with it, so,
I do not either.
all right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I would,
you. David, did you have any questions? I'm sorry.
No, I don't, as the discussion went on, some of the questions I had were answered.
Okay,
So, I'm okay with it, they're gonna track it through the department and also gonna be tracked through our administration, so I have no problem at all.
all right, thank you. Well, I'll entertain for motion.
I'd like to, Mr. Campbell, I'd like to move that we approve the RFP for the Sheriff's Office Uniform Equipment and Accessories Purchase Program. As written.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. All right, good deal. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
for
you
the
very much, Mr.
good
Attaway.
explanation.
Keep us posted on how that goes.
All right. Now, next item of business, Tony Hines and vehicle purchases.
Morning, Tony Hines, Public Works Manager. So item A, we're looking to purchase a UTV for the Facilities and Parks Department. We have, oh, I'm out of order here. We had 3 bids for those. And recommend going to Cochise Motorsports out of Sierra Vista,
For which model?
the Polaris.
Okay,
Yeah, Polaris and Honda were the same price.
yeah.
But Polaris looked a little more of what we're looking for. And this vehicle will replace an old one that we have at the fairgrounds right now.
I would just have it not exceed the 15,000, but
Excuse me?
I would just have it not exceed the 15,000. It's like 13.8 ish. Okay, any questions on this one?
And none.
I have none.
Well, call for a motion.
I move, Mr. Campbell, that we, purchase the UTV for the Facilities Parks Department, not to exceed $15,000
From Cochise.
from
Motorsports?
Cochise Motorsports.
Okay, that works.
I second that motion.
All right, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. All right. Move on to the next agenda item, the equipment trailer for the roads department.
This item, we had some discussion on it this morning. The Midco trailer is exactly the trailer that we have now, and the roads department would rather have a longer one. So the only longer pintle hook trailer that I found out there was from Gatormade. And it's $1,000 more than what we have, but if we need to table that item, I can get better quotes and come back next time for that.
Derek, if we were to do a do not exceed on this and not identify the vendor, but approve the purchase of the equipment trailer for the roads department in the amount not to exceed $30,000, which is the budgeted amount, would that be acceptable?
The only difficulty with that is that our purchasing policy requires quotes, if you will. And so the challenge becomes, we don't know what the other quote is.
Okay.
Whether we're comparing apples to apples and so forth. I realize trailers can be by and large fungible, one looks like another. But that would be the only concern, is that we're not aware of what the actual footage is. We may be. That would be my concern. Do you know if the price of the longer one exceeds 30,000?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's table this and allow this for to go out for rebid to the new scope.
Right.
All right, well, appreciate a motion to table agenda item 6B.
I move that we table item 6 B, purchase of a trailer for the roads and department, till we can get some more.
I second that motion.
All right, been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Item B is tabled. All right, moving to item C, action to purchase a shuttle vehicle for the fairgrounds.
So we're looking for a shuttle vehicle for the fairgrounds. What we do during the fair now is offer the office one of the side-by-sides. The side-by-side doesn't really work that well for moving handicapped people around. So the last couple of years, we've been looking for a transport vehicle, finally found one. So this one is we're recommending from Action Sports. It's a 6-seater golf cart, electric. And the quote that I got on it, we redid it yesterday, is $15,420.11. So it's lower than what we had initially done.
15 what?
15,420.
2011, right?
Okay. Yeah, I was curious if you were gonna go with the gas or the straight electric. Cause they were both listed in there.
Yeah, and basically the same price.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the
$1,000 more.
brand new product too.
brand new product. It'll be used throughout the year if Justine needs to give anybody a tour of the
Mhm.
fairgrounds if they want to, come and look at it for an event.
I think it's great.
Do you have I'm sure you do, but do you have a place where you'll be charging that and storing that out there?
Yeah, it'll be right in the B building.
Does it come with the charger?
Yeah, everything.
Oh, okay.
A
Okay.
USB charger. Well, a port it says, but
Whatever works.
I move that we purchase the shuttle vehicle for the fairgrounds in the amount of $15,420.11
Do we want to add from
through Action Golf Carts.
Action Golf Carts? And I'll take the second. So been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right. Get the shuttle vehicle now. And it's not just for handicapped people, it's for fat old guys that, just want to jump in.
Maybe it can be for
Anyone to go there?
supervisors once in a while. Yes.
All right, agenda item D, action to purchase 2 3/4 ton 2x4 4-door trucks with service boxes for the facilities department. Do we want to talk about all these vehicles at once since you have kind of a synopsis?
Yeah, we could do that. I put a summary together for that. I'll go through what we did. So for Courtesy Chevrolet, that's the state contract holder. We got prices from them on the different vehicles. We went through Kempton's also to get quotes, the local dealer. We went through Enterprise to get theirs. I have 3 columns for Enterprise. The third column is a monthly fee that they charge. So they're charging us for the everything but $1 lease, and then plus a monthly fee to keep that active. So that total is all together. And then Bancorp is a new company that we got through the sheriff's office when he did his thing in Reno. What do they call that?
Trade show?
Yeah, the expo thing, yeah.
Hmm.
So we went through them and they seem to be the lowest on all of them. It is also a lease. On their bids, they bid it down to $1 lease and then they bid it down to a residual lease. So we have our option to do that. Bancorp also takes yearly payments, not monthly payments. And at the end of the lease, it's ours to do what we need to with it. And there's no extra fees associated with that.
So what do you mean by it's at the end of the lease, it's ours to do? It's basically ours, then we don't have to return it?
Correct. If we do the lease down to $1, once we get to the end of the lease, we can pay the $1 and own the vehicle, or we can turn it back in and get credit for another vehicle. Same with the $12,000 residual, like on the facilities trucks. We pay that down. It's a lesser yearly payment. So you'll have $12,000 value on it. If you sell it at the end of the lease, anything over $12,000 is ours. Anything under, we have to make up.
Now, the question, since we're talking about all of them, I mean, the canine in the sheriff's office pickup, I mean, that's a huge difference in cost from Kempton's to Bancorp. I mean, and I understand that that includes the upfitting,
Yes,
um,
totally upfitted.
totally upfitted.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be, the SO pickups are upfit to a supervisors, so it's not a full upfit. There'll be no stickers, there's no cage. Just supervisor lights, radios, stuff like that. The K9 will be complete. K9 cage, stripes, window tints, radios, sirens, everything. And I was shocked at the price of that too.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm,
Have we purchased any product through Bancorp?
No, this first.
So this will be our first
Yep,
county purchase through Bancorp.
correct.
Renee, do you have anything to chime in on as far as the, because obviously we get through Courtesy and or Kempton's or one or the other, right? That's actually purchasing the vehicle. We take the vehicle, we have it, we run it till the tires fall off, then we sell it at auction. We depreciate it over time and we sell it, at auction. As far as this lease, now, how long is the lease?
5 years.
5 years. So 5 years, that probably fits into the age of our fleet anyway,
Yes.
ish.
Yeah, we did 5 years on the enterprise leases before.
Yeah.
We budgeted, I think he gave 300 and some thousand for vehicles. Yeah, we're at 321 just for the regular vehicles, plus 140 for the sheriff's vehicles. The line item was at 300. I believe it was 320.
Let's let the powers that be figure that out.
The enterprise lease we're in now, I just have.
Your nightmares on that one? But at the end of the,
I don't know how we conduct that business, so if this helps you, we have to take way better track of what we're doing with these leases, because the fees in the end.
but the fees in this lease,
Bancorp doesn't have regular fees, monthly fees like Enterprise does.
Just like it's not.
Correct.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more of a fixed loan because at the end of your lease too, you buy it out for $1. So it's not like an enterprise where you're required to return the vehicle. And then they go through with a fine tooth comb, and if there's a dent here and a dent there, you get your charges for it.
Right, and these leases with Bancorp were set up at a 30,000 mile per year vehicle.
and are we under that normally?
But we way under that.
So my challenge is that obviously, yes, supporting local and all that, that's always good. But realistically, for this total amount of vehicles, I mean, the cost savings to the county is roughly $72,000.
Yes.
I mean, that's
the
72
equivalent amount of one of the vehicles.
Right, that's another vehicle. So I mean, I'm anxious to hear your recommendation, Tony, because you're in charge of the fleet. But at the end of the day, I mean, if the Bancorp, whatever, if that works the way it's supposed to, I mean, it's a cost savings to the county of $72,000 on 6 vehicles.
Correct. Greater than that with the SO vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, I included all of it in that 72,000.
So originally, we were looking for Bancorp to put this through as we were going through the enterprise leases, somebody different doing it a different way. Bancorp came up through the expo, came down, talked to us, explained it all then, and explained it again this morning because I had to call them back and get the right questions to ask. So I would recommend trying to go through Bancorp and see how we do with them. They are out of Utah. They do police vehicles, fully upfitted. Bancorp is in a building right here and their upfitter is right next to them. So they have a real good, rapport with each other. And the value of it was a pretty good shock.
So, I mean, we have some options, and I mean, we have some options. Obviously, the most cost effective for the county, just looking at the bare numbers, and I don't know you know what I mean? I would hope and pray that there aren't other charges, you know what I mean, that
Right.
pop up
Right.
down the road. But it looks like you've done your due diligence and understand the process. I mean, that's option one, is to go all with Bancorp and ultimately have a cost savings of roughly 72,000 to the county, which is great. We could just go with the sheriff's office vehicles through Bancorp, realize that big cost savings, and then buy the other vehicles from, you know, somebody that we would actually procure the vehicles from. I mean, that wouldn't give us as much cost savings, but it would give us a lot of cost savings.
Right. Almost 40 grand with just the sheriff's office.
Yeah, so those first, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vehicles that we're talking about.
Well, while they're chatting, Mr. Chairman, there are a variety of options here. We haven't had that
Yeah.
in years. And my only counsel to the board is if we select something that's other than the lowest cost,
Right.
that we articulate the reasons why. And there may be very sound reasons for paying an additional amount. That allowed, like I said, we've got here's the three viable and then Courtesy Chevrolet off the state contract. Each will have their advantages. One of the advantages is that particularly with police cars is we particularly purchase them. We wait 2 or 3 months to get the vehicles, and then we wait another 2 or 3 months to get the upfitting. So if you say yes today, it may be March for on the street. And that's something would be shortened by way of the Bancorp option. On the other hand, we have noticed that as we deal with local vendors, it's easier to get them serviced under warranty than it is taking it back to Courtesy or some other place. And so you might ask Tony, you know, insights on that, because I know that's been an issue in the past. But at some point, it becomes increasingly difficult to articulate a reason to justify such a tremendous cost difference.
Yeah, I agree.
I know it's a big difference to getting them upfitted. So if they were to arrive upfitted, that would be
Yeah, no,
a big plus, right?
It certainly is.
I am fully.
That's proven to be very problematic in the past. Getting the upfittings done in a timely manner,
Correct.
right?
So as we looked at the lease, if we pay the lease by yearly payments, we're paying a 5.63 interest rate. So the facility truck will go from 59,000 up to 67,000 by the time you pay it off.
By the time you pay it off, right?
Yeah, and the question that I did not ask was if we pay it down to $1 immediately. He set the lease up to do it down to $1 in the 5 years, but I need to find out if he can do it down to $1 immediately. Save all the interest rate and then just pay that.
That was the attraction we worked with, when we were visiting with the enterprise folks, is that we thought we had to pay it out month by month. And when I complained that their interest rate was equal to about 13%, they said, oh, you can pay it down to $1, which we did. All of our enterprise lease cars right now are no balance. And I thought we had understood that could be done by Bancorp, but if it's not clear, then we need to.
It was discussed when they came down here, because that was the initial.
That was the model we wanted to look at, right?
Correct, yeah, but I didn't see it on this one. I saw the dollar, and then when I talked to him this morning, it was paid down to $1 within the 5 years. So I need to go back and find out if we can pay it down to $1. I think we can. based on the earlier conversations, we can pay it down to $1 immediately and not pay all the interest rate.
Tony, do you think if the board tabled this for later in the meeting, you could call them and find that answer out in the next short period of time?
Yep.
Before the meeting is over?
Yep, I'll call them right now.
I think that would probably be
I would
helpful.
like to have an answer to that, yeah.
Yeah. Now, just a couple of questions. So you mentioned one, obviously, as far as the Bancor vehicles that we put on lease, who services them if they need warranty type, but warranty related services?
Warranty should be any Chevrolet dealer.
Any dealer, right? Regardless of where you buy it from,
You're
GM,
not getting the front of the line, you'll be in the line.
you'll be in the line.
Yeah,
Can you ask Bancorp that when you're talking to him here in a couple minutes
yes.
and reiterate that point
Yeah.
to make sure that we can go to any dealership and have those worked on?
How often currently in our current process, right? You know, we buy from wherever. I mean, a lot of times we buy locally because it makes sense. In this case, it doesn't make as much sense. But I mean, how often do we have to take them in for warranty work to the dealership that we don't correct it ourselves?
We haven't done a whole lot on warranty work.
Yeah.
Jim is in the shop is very diligent about following that up if it is a warranty item. So if it is a warranty item, we don't miss it, but we don't do it very often.
Okay.
It usually after the warranty goes away, then we start going
Right.
a little bit more.
Okay. Well, let's table this for a little bit, and then when you pop back in, then we'll bring it back up.
Okay.
So do we need to table it, or do we just put it on hold for a
Actually,
bit?
just move to the next agenda item and come back to this
Yeah.
one later.
Okay, then that's what we'll do.
All right.
It sounds like we've got some conversation over there on the money side, so.
Thank you, Tony and Austin.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Want to do the right thing. That's a lot of vehicles. All right, so for the time being, we'll move into agenda item 7. Derek Rapier.
Thank you. We have two different requests here. We budget every year for donations to certain charitable and nonprofit organizations, and they each have a direct impact on some of our stated goals. Much to the chagrin of our neighbors in Graham County, we pay almost nothing in all tax payments relative to what they pay. But part of that is we invest a little over $100,000 in charities and nonprofits that service our aged and our vulnerable populations. And so the item A under this number 7 is a request to make the donations we've made in the past. $5,000 to the food bank, podiatry in the amount of $16,608. That's remained unchanged for years. A total of $71,500 to Easter Seals Blake Foundation. This is for adult transport, and also they take people, for example, to go to the doctor. They go to the different stores. Some of that is bus insurance, and there's also donations to the senior food program in both Clifton-Morenci and the Duncan area. $42,000 for the Clifton-Morenci area, $21,000 for the Duncan area, and $8,500 for bus insurance for their transport vehicle. The last one is the SECAS. Again, they provide meals in the homes, Meals on Wheels program. You see their skin-covered car running around sometimes. All of those programs have a direct effect on helping us keep our seniors in their home, which is better for them, better for their families, and cheaper from a public health standpoint. So I would recommend that donations in the amount of previous years be approved again. If necessary, I can read those numbers out to you as well.
Can you read those numbers, those 5?
You bet.
Yeah.
Donation to the Easter Seals Blake Foundation, a total of $71,500. A donation to SECAS in the amount of $6,500 for Meals on Wheels. A donation to the podiatry clinic, Dr. James Hewish, in the amount of $16,608. and a $5,000 donation to the Duncan Clifton Food Banks.
And those donations have been made in the past too.
They have been, yes.
So we're not restructuring them or adding more to them or taking away.
At this point, they're the same we've made in the past.
Not for this agenda item.
Yeah.
The next one,
Yeah, the next gen, that's probably separated them out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but these donations, and they're budgeted in our annual budgeting process.
So they have been budgeted for this year.
Yes.
And I know that, I mean, these provide a incredible service to our elderly community and those in need. And so we've always been supportive of that.
I move that we authorize payment of budgeted donations to charitable organizations to assist the elderly and other groups of need. Do you want me to go through the amounts?
As stated by the manager.
As stated by the county manager, Derek Rapier.
And I second that motion.
All right, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. Good work. That's the good stuff. All right, agenda item B. Discussion action, charitable donation to the Mount Graham Safe House to assist with security system for the safe house location in Greenlee County.
Certainly, thank you. We just heard from the Mount Graham Safe House at our last meeting 2 weeks ago, asking for assistance in building a building pad. I believe that is FMI who will be donating the actual modular home that they'll use as their safe house location. This is an organization that thrives on donations. In my 25 years as a prosecutor, this was an area that was constantly a difficult problem to solve in our community. We would often take women, occasionally men, but mostly women, down to Safford so they have a safe place to begin to rebuild their lives and recover. We've not had that type of an overnight full service facility. We had a room at a time up at the clinic in Morenci, but it was more of a temporary on your way to Safford type of a thing. But if you're going to have a place where women and children can go to be safe from their abusers, it needs to be secure. And so this request is to help them purchase a security system so that as like I say, families come and take advantage of the services that are offered there, even if it's just a place to stay overnight for a night or two, they can rest assured that there'll be a security system in place that'll keep them safe. This is not a donation we've made in the past. We do budget a certain amount of donation that is undesignated at the time of the budget. Sometimes it's because we don't know about the request. This is one of those that we did not know about at the time we set the budget. And so they've requested that we assist them. And I think there is an amount they're asking for.
There's two different.
Yeah, there's two different amounts.
I'd like to understand, it sounds like there's two, one for cameras and then one for an actual,
Security
triggered alarm on the doors, etc.
And is that a monthly type payment for the second one?
Well, and I guess that's my question. I mean, it looks like the ask is, bear with me, sorry. It said, the ask is professional services to install, configure, and test the system. But did that include, the monthly monitoring?
I do not believe so.
Yeah.
I think they're asking for the upfront cost.
Upfront, right?
Yes.
That's kind of the way I read it.
Which, Mr. Chairman, would be the 9,127.70 plus the 1,609.18.
Yes. As I understand it,
I believe that is correct.
because the monthly monitoring is after the fact of $35 a month. But that's not.
Right. And if the board chose to give less than that, then they would go out and find other donors who will make up the difference. It's not an all or nothing. Your discretion, because I believe we budgeted 20,000 for undetermined charitable donations. Have we already done one this year?
Seems like we've done one already.
Seems like we've done one. Oh, it was the $1,000 Arizona Trail thing.
Mm-hmm.
We adapt. So you've got the capacity, but likewise, and you know, this is not if you don't give it all, you're ogres and don't care for people who are abused. It is a process where, and frankly, the reason the Mountain Graham Safe House works best is because it has buy-in from several, literally a multitude of various businesses and organizations. So this would be a great investment. I speak about that as a prosecutor, but also just seeing the need in our community. But we have limits to what we can give as well.
And my opinion is that they are developing this and building this in Greenlee County for the very first time. And so I would think that the onset, of
Upfront.
might be a little higher, you know what I mean? And they're working through getting their donations for, for the house. Obviously, we're working on the pad and we've committed to help them with that. Obviously, there's going to be some other infrastructure that they can go after, somebody else through electrical, whether that's DVAC or whoever, fencing, et cetera, around it. But I think this is a opportunity for us to donate. It looks to be about, hold on, phone's got to see my face. But anyway, 10,737, we'll call it, for getting the house alarms and cameras all installed, professionally installed into their new home there to help keep those residents that are, trying to stay away from people,
Right.
Anyway, I think I would entertain for a motion for that 10,737 to assist them in getting this off the ground and getting this very valuable resource started in our county.
I move that we proceed with a charitable donation to Mount Graham Safe House to assist with security system and safe for the location in Greenlee County in the amount of $10,737.00. From do I need to specify where it's from?
Valley Security.
Valley Security
Yeah, probably.
from
We
Valley
don't-
Security
we don't care
Incorporated
where they purchased it.
Right,
We
right.
To the organization.
to the Mount Graham Safe House.
It's their vendor, not ours, I guess, to clarify.
Can I concur with everything that has been discussed and recommended on this issue, on this request, and I second that motion.
Awesome. All right, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, that's the good stuff. Okay. Thank you all. So now we'll go to agenda item 8, information discussion, just a review of the 2025 CSA legislative proposals for the upcoming CSA legislative conference.
I'm going to keep this somewhat brief. And I've taken the proposals and broken them down. You're going to see a color coding pattern here that if a suggestion or a proposal is in blue, that's asking for legislation, a change in the law. If it's in the brownish or tan color, that's for a resolution, asking basically the CSA to take a philosophical or political stand on an issue. And then thirdly is a green one, which is an appropriation, which generally doesn't work its way through until the budget at the end of the legislative session. Real quickly, by way of process, and Mr. Warren will be attending on behalf of the county this year. During the conference, the middle day, these proposals will all be presented. They'll be first presented, the analysis by CSA. The sponsoring county or counties can stand up and say what they would like us to hear about it. There'll be a discussion, question and answer to try and fill out and understand the issue. And then sometimes based on the questioning, the interaction, the facilitator and the CSA staff will realize maybe we need to modify it. They'll go back to the sponsoring county. Sometimes it'll change from legislation to a resolution. Sometimes they change the nature of it and so forth. On Thursday, the last day of the conference in the morning, starting at 9 o'clock, That's when each of the 16 proposals are voted on. They're voted on individually. And if you were there with a proxy, they will hand out and they'll go at the beginning of the meeting, say, okay, Mr. Warren, you have 3 votes yourself and whoever you get it from. You may collect 10 votes from other counties, who knows? They'll give you a card that'll say how many votes you have. And so at that point, they then send 2 people around with a clicker to count the votes. Split votes are appropriate. So if Mr. Campbell tells you on such and such legislation, vote no, and you say, I think it's a good idea, I'll vote yes, you would then split it. I have 3 votes, 2 yes and 1 no, however the case may be. That's simply the process. One of the things that is often raised as a concern is with 16 proposals, it was 19. 3 of them already gone away. 2 of them have actually been consolidated into 1. But the worry always is are we diluting our political influence? Because it's difficult to take a large agenda and work it properly. And in the course of it, every legislative session I've been a part of, some theme comes up. And sometimes you know about it beforehand, but most of the time you don't. Events like last week's assassination can spark legislation that all of a sudden dominate the whole session. And so to stay on top of that, sometimes priorities will need to be kicked down. There may be a run that we didn't anticipate, maybe on a cost shift or something else. And so in an effort to try and minimize dilution of our political clout or political capital, CSA will use this form here of how do they attack things. They're first going to play defense. If there's something that's going to be really harmful to counties, they will put best efforts into that. Secondly, you're going to see that there'll be some resolutions we've been working on for a long time about getting the courts, for example, to pay for all of the courts and other things like that. They will work on those. And then as the session goes on, they will try to find sponsors in the next 2 months to try and sponsor each of the pieces of legislation that the CSA as a whole votes should be going forward. And then they basically lobby that priority that way. These are the standing sort of resolutions we have pretty much every year. This is last year's language, but basically that there should be a state county responsibility or shared responsibilities. This is a way of trying to get at cost shifts. So you see that high quality state mandated services at the regional level. In order that the state's going to say, do this county, but you send us some money. Second is transportation funding. The truth is, ours, the fuel tax has not been raised in 30+ years. It's some noise.
Happening every once in a while.
But nevertheless, that trend has been that as you know, you get outside the metropolitan where they're building roads all the time, and the further you get from the center of the state, the more crumbly the roads get. And that's just on the state highways, let alone county roads, which we're in good shape. Many county roads are not. And then you get down to the municipalities, you run into real problems. Broadband access is something that's been going on for 3 or 4 years now, I think it is. And they simply are trying to urge the state to get that done, get the process finished, get the money out to the communities so that broadband can be accessible everywhere. Public safety pensions. Mr. Warren was not here, but the other 2 of you were when we went full bore and paid down our pension liability. As that system has become healthier and healthier, those who, particularly police unions in the Phoenix area and Tucson area, are saying, good, let's sweeten the pot, make our pensions better. You can't make it better if you haven't paid for it. We'll just create a deficit situation again. So the CSA has spent a considerable amount of time, particularly on what they call the corp pension plan, correction officers pension plan. We don't have it, but all the other 14 counties do. That analysis has been extremely high level, and they've actually come up with a suggestion that they think will actually address the problem. And the last one is court funding. There's always a push. We just got a bill for $19,000 to pay a service agreement for computers for the courts. And it's going up 2.5% per year. We could buy all brand new equipment every year for that price. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to say, look, take your probation offices, and fund it in the state system. It's a state court system. Please fund it. Those are resolutions we'll be working on if the CSA Board of Directors adopts it again this year. So I've broken these and I'll spend the most time on the first 5 and a little bit less on the others. But there's 16. These are my numbering, not theirs. But we're going to focus first on the 5 that I think have the most direct impact on Greene County. Then we'll spend a little time on those in the middle. I think they're going to have some difficulty getting out of CSA. And even if they do, they're going to have an even more difficult time at the legislature. But we'll talk about them. And then the last group, I'll just skim over really quick. Some of them may be good ideas, but they're not likely to hit us anytime soon. Permanent primary election moves. So a few years ago in 2022, they changed the criteria for automatic recounts, and it's much closer. We are a swing state, and various parts of the state are more swingy than others. And so our margins, it's now 0.5%. It used to be much smaller than that. So we tend to have more automatic recounts. With their previous calendar, we could not get the early ballots out to overseas and uniform military voters and be legal. We couldn't get it out. On the back end, on presidential election years, we could not get our votes in for the Electoral College on time. So last year they moved this. What is proposed now is that, and this is primarily Maricopa and Coconino driving this, but we all agree here as well that they want to permanently move that primary up. So we've got time to get everything done in between the primary and the general election. My recommendation is that the board support this, but I think this will be a fairly straightforward one. And on all of these, please, if you have questions, contact me later. I'd be glad to sit down and go through them in more granular detail. This one is a fancy name for saying, hey, don't use our name. We occasionally get calls asking whether or not the Greene County Golf Course is actually owned by Greene County. It's not. But in Navajo County, they ran into a problem where a rogue posse group called themselves the Navajo County Hash Knife Sheriff's Posse. They had no affiliation with the sheriff's office at all. And so they ended up suing them over and they won. But what they're doing here is they want to help us try and protect our, in the college sports world, our name, likeness, and image. So we have a county seal, but we've also developed a county logo. I sometimes call it our county swish logo, but the arrow. And so this would give us greater ability to protect those logos and names and associations so that people can't go out them for their own use. Accountability to taxpayers. This is what I've labeled as the blight problem. The county's been trying to address this for a long time. You have a situation where maybe somebody dies and a relative or maybe even a friend, we don't know. They're living in the place, so they show up every year to pay the taxes, but they pay it in cash. They don't tell them who they are. And then the place falls into disrepair and blight. And the county has some tools to try and work on that, but they're very ineffective if they don't know who they're working with. So this would require people who pay taxes to give up their identity so that these various lien processes can work. Now, this doesn't touch Greene County right now, but as we continue to try and make efforts to grow, blight will be one of those areas that eventually we're going to want to try and tackle. And so this is a tool that Gila County's come up with. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets modified a little bit, but it's something that other counties are starting to recognize as well. Gila County is a sponsor, but other counties have expressed solidarity with them on this.
But there's no issue with us supporting that.
There's no issue with us supporting that. No. And even if it's modified to try and get at the same problem, that would not be, like I say,
Yeah.
Is this on our 3 and 5 year horizon? Probably not, but beyond that, certainly well could be.
Sometimes you look out for the other counties that have
Absolutely.
issues because we might need them later.
Absolutely. We've received remarkable support from counties on initiatives we've done, and we appreciated it. So yeah, I think that's one that will work for us. Real estate disclosure. This is an idea coming out of Cochise County. Interestingly, Representative Griffin has been on the forefront of a lot of real estate issues. She's a real estate agent by profession and has not been real keen on some of these ideas. But essentially they're saying that sometimes people buy property, they don't know things like you don't have legal access, or you don't, this is in a zoning that won't allow you to build a house, or several other things. They've got a list of, I think it's 24 separate requirements. But the main ones are there at the bottom. They want to make sure that you have to disclose what the property zoning is. the property's proximity to commercial industrial zoning. So if you buy, your dream home and you find out you're gonna be living next door to a industrial pig farm, you might want to know that. And then how close are utilities to the property line? How much is it gonna cost you to get lights on? And that the wells are the responsibility of the owner and the need for inspection. So this is meant as a consumer protection bill. Again, this is something that we want to weigh in on. Whether it's good or bad probably depends on what property you're looking at. There are pieces of land, even in our county, that are landlocked or that are otherwise difficult, if not unsellable. But if these disclosures are made, maybe someone will pick it up and try to solve some of the problems if they know what the problems were. So
Did they talk about any insurance related things with, disclosing those, like buying a home maybe up on the blue or something like that, but then not being able to get fire insurance, or buying a house down at Duncan, then find out you're in a flood zone and you're not able to get flood insurance?
not in this bill.
No.
That may morph because there is a bill that addresses some of those issues.
Okay.
Not as disclosures. Part of that is because it's an intersection where, as a the property seller, I can't speak for the insurance industry.
Right.
And so it may have that removal, but that topic's going to come up as well. It's quite a hot topic in a couple of counties on the fire insurance in particular.
Yeah.
Flood insurance is another one as well. And the last one, this is a resolution. Re-entry programs, or when somebody's been locally incarcerated or in the prison system. These are programs aimed to help them assimilate back into the community. They've run this kind of as a pilot program, but the only groups that got it were large, predominantly Republican communities. Pima County took notice of that and said, hey, we would like some of that money as well. They are very interested. They've done some of their own reentry programs even before there was funding for it. This would be a resolution urging the legislature to make reentry funds available to all counties. We've not had access to any of it. And part of that is because some of the requirements that they require to stand up as a program are beyond our capacity. But there are likely some things we could do if we had some money to do it. So Pima County is simply saying, legislature, we resolve that you look at this and try and spread the sugar around the state.
So we're okay with this resolution too.
We are, yeah. It's a resolution, and I'll be honest with you, speaking of the dynamics, the legislature, resolutions are a safe way to raise an issue without getting hammered. It doesn't go through a committee hearing. One of the other dynamics that is unfortunately or fortunately true, depending on your view, is that stuff coming out of Pima County tends to not get heard very well. It's sort of like a Democrat-sponsored bill. They may or may not get a hearing, and so by doing this as a resolution, it's sort of a softer approach to raise the issue. It's not just Democrat counties that don't get money on this. It's mostly just one or two counties with, like I say, a predominant Republican base. Let's move to the second section, which was proposals that will likely affect Green County if they're passed. The first, the open meeting law. Cochise County feels handcuffed that they can't chat about things they want to chat about. And so they want to change the open meeting law. Some of this is in response to some of what took place during the election challenge, for which indictments were eventually handed out. They held meetings outside of the open meeting law, and that was part of the investigation. But part of it is also trying to recognize the difficulty of a 3-person board in smaller counties. And that is any two, and we manage that. If you're all showing up at some event, we will let the world know that you're at that event. It's not our event, but you're there. There's some distinctions in here that I think will not land well in the legislature. For example, there's no legal requirement. There's not a legal standard that's recognized saying required tangible evidence for an accusation of open meeting law violations. I'm not even sure what that means. Do you, Steve?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, that means clear and convincing, reasonable doubt. Those are
Yeah.
the things we understand, but tangible evidence.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know if they mean tangerines. I don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
But the other is separating political and non-political discussion. The law is, are you discussing something that may have something to do with the county? And that may be political, that may be policy, that may be acquisition. There's so many things. And so I think this one's going to struggle maybe to get out of CSA. but I think it's going to really struggle in the legislature. Besides which, right now is not the time to be untransparent, and that's what this will be perceived as. Board attorneys, this one is even more interesting, having been one of those once and now sitting on the other side of that equation. Cochise County would basically like to say, we want to hire our own civil attorney anytime we want without concurrence of the county attorney or a conflict or anything else like that. Some states do this. They separate their district attorney and their prosecution community away from their county or municipal attorneys altogether. There are some advantages to that. You get to hire your own hired gun, if you will. One of the things I don't think the sponsors have recognized is that if the county attorney's not your counsel, there's no incentive for them not to go after you if they think you've committed a crime. I will tell you, anybody who's practiced public law knows Arizona creates a burden on their public attorneys because we wear multiple hats. We represent multiple clients, assessor, board, recorder, everybody that's client, and it creates conflicts. The community in Arizona, the prosecution committee has worked out a very effective way to manage that by trading cases, sometimes hiring outside counsel. But this one, I think, is a direct response to the fact that their attorney told them, no, you can't do what you want to do. And so they wanted to hire their own attorney who would say, yeah, you can do what you want to do. An attorney who had been twice disciplined by the board or by the state bar or giving bad election advice. So I think this one may struggle as well, although it may find some real popularity in some circles in the legislature. This is the one that you talked about. This is a resolution. Coconino and Pima County are sponsoring this. It's problematic in that they would like to basically tell the insurance world, you have to continue to insure homes even if they're in harm's way. This really became a problem after the LA fires. State Farm in particular, but there are several other large insurance companies that had pulled out of that market about a year to 6 months before that huge fire. And it was primarily because they looked at this and say, there's a problem. This is all going to burn. And so they pulled out. Non-renewals, non-accepting, not being able to buy insurance is the issue. I am told that there are models where you can regulate this. They're not trying to drive, and the Michael Rossi, the lobbyist for Pima County, says that's a really fine balance. You don't want to drive the insurance industry out of your community. But he gave an example of a home in the Catalina foothills area that there's no vegetation around. It's a desert home, and they can't get insurance because it is technically on a mountain. And so we found in our own insurance that the insurance company believes that our radio box or our little room up on Guthrie Peak is susceptible to flood. It literally sits on the highest point of the mountain. So when NOAA goes floating by, we will have a problem, but probably not before then. But this is, again, a resolution that's coming from Pima and Coconino counties, two of our stronger Democratic strongholds. There's a reason it's a resolution, but the conversation is probably a good one. And I think it's a conversation that may take, get some legs in the legislature, if not this year, soon. I will tell you that the insurance lobby is one of the most influential, behind perhaps only contractors and home builders. And these we're going to go through very quickly. These are ones that are unlikely to have an impact on us in the near future. Permanent crops, which I struggled to wrap my head around at first. These are like vineyards and orchards, and this is an assessment thing to try and help them. There was a change made, so the assessment of these things went through the roof in 1 year. So this is sort of a technical correction on how to deal with those. We don't, to my knowledge, have any commercial vineyards or orchards. We do have some orchards, and no vineyards at this point. Short-term rentals is it's not the third rail that ESA vouchers is, but it's close. The legislature several years ago said, if you want to rent your house out, we're staying out of your business. Well, there's been all kinds of problems. Party houses, driving home prices down, availability is down. Actually, home prices go up and availability goes down. And so there's been this clamor, particularly in the Sedona area, Prescott area, Flagstaff area, to say, give us some controls. They're not taxed as hotels, but they're treated as hotels. They're there's a lot of square peg, round hole type problems here. So there's been an effort for the last 3 years to try and get some control. Scottsdale's in on this as well. They have people and they have just wild parties. We do have some Airbnbs in the county. This has not been an issue for us yet. Perhaps it will become one. And then recapitalization, this is a budget item. The Department of Fire and Forest Management, DFFM, at one point after some fires in Flagstaff, they were given $75 million to try and mitigate primarily things like flooding after the burn scar, that kind of stuff. Overwhelmingly, most of the money went to Coconino and Gila County. There's still some raw wounds with other counties that also had fires that didn't get any of the money. This is driven primarily by Coconino County. They want the state to help pay for their local mitigation. Not a bad idea. It's just in a budget, this often gets thrown out, particularly when the budgets get tight, as they're going to be the next 2 to 3 years. This is another one that we have not really touched on, but apparently there's a program under WIFA that if you get money to help clean up a cesspool or abandoned septic tanks, some cities can have those loans forgiven. Counties don't have a mechanism to do that. We haven't really, like say, touched on that program for us, but Gila County, Pima County both run into problems where they're getting money and then they have to pay the loan back, whereas others similarly situated local governments do not. Above ground cold plunges, this is a big issue in Greene County. This is happening all the time. No, it's not. But apparently in Maricopa and Coconino, it does. And this is not whether you should plunge in a jacuzzi of cold water or not. It is who's responsible. I guess they're concerned that they don't change the water out very often. And people just get dunked in, I guess, like climbing in somebody else's bathtub. And what happens to the water when you're done? So they've been pouring it out on the parking lot and it runs into the storm drains. It feels to us out here like a much ado about nothing. But Maricopa is worried that the state's going to make them regulate it. And they want law that says this isn't our problem, it's the state's problem. So I think this is where we grab a bag of popcorn and watch the food value. Because I don't know that I can work up enough care about it. This is another one coming out of Pima County. It's also in the form of resolution. You're seeing a theme here. The Historic Preservation Office works with federal funds and state funds to try and preserve sometimes buildings, sometimes locations as a historical preservation. This is not documents and records. The feds kick in about 60% of the cost. Arizona's supposed to kick in 40%, and they haven't done so in several years. So Pima County is saying, legislature, please fund this. So this is both a resolution and really a budgeting issue as well. Again, is it important? Probably, but probably not higher on our priority list. This is one that really doesn't touch us at all since we don't have 100,000 residents in our entire county. Yuma is running into a problem where they're building some buildings, Yuma County, in the town of Yuma, and they're having to have the state fire marshal come out and regulate and make sure that they're adhering to state fire codes. Yuma County's developed their own variation of a uniform fire code, and it's a mess. And so Yuma County is saying we'd rather work with our neighbors in the town and not you out of Phoenix. I don't know how widespread this problem is. Solar energy consumer protection. Apparently in Yuma, not surprising, there's quite a bustling solar industry. But a lot of these players apparently come in, they put stuff on your roof. They don't inspect the roof, whether or not it can support the panels. They've had, panels blow off roofs and tear roofs and stuff. So Yuma County is asking for a higher level of regulation to try and address that. And it would be by way of disclosures, inspections. If you've got a history of being a bad solar installer, you don't get to do your own inspections, so forth. And I believe that's it. And like I say, I'm happy to answer questions now or meet with you one-on-one as you prepare for the summit and prepare your proxy votes and so forth.
Well, thank you. It's always,
Leave
like
it off,
FEMA.
Renee. We're gonna go to another one here soon.
Pima and Maricopa have been busy.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and surprisingly, yeah, Pima and Maricopa always are, but there you have it. And that's all I have on item number 8.
Okay. Do do we at this point go back to agenda item 6?
Are we ready?
Did you have something that you wanted to have the lights off for?
Oh, I forgot we're going back to cars. No, I was getting ready for item number 9, where I'll have.
Well, if we're got the lights off, if you want to, let's
You know,
just
let's
go to
do it
item
in
number
like
9 and
2
then we'll come back.
Okay, we'll do this really quick.
2 minutes.
Until I can't get it up to show you the picture I have for you. It's really exciting pictures.
I ran across that picture of you with the skull cap and the glasses on just the other day. No, I have it on my phone right here. I can pull it up if you.
Sounds like a prelude to a blackmail. Just saying. All right, this should pop up. You're familiar with this. I'll update you. Our monthly income on the revenue, our budget and legislative stuff. You'll see that our numbers are up. This is the county half-cent sales tax. We are up year over year. We're down over the 3-year average, but there was a couple of years that tilted that. But you'll see we're up about 13% for the first 2 months of the year. Our overall projected surplus over budget would be about 205,000 if these numbers were to continue to hold throughout the year. State shared sales tax, similar story, except we're up quite a bit. We're actually up about 25% on the first 2 months, year over year. Now, on the 3-year average, we're still up this month in August, down over the 3-year average on our month in July. If both of those were to hold at the same levels, we would realize a surplus of $1.7 million over budgeted, projected budgeted amounts. That's where we're at. We're in good shape at the moment. We've learned in the staff not to get too excited about good numbers and not to get too depressed about bad ones, because we get both during the course of a 12-year or 12-month year. But that's where we're at. And that's all I have on the budget and legislative issues under
Good news.
number.
It is good news.
Good news to start. Good start.
Yeah, I agree. Let's turn the lights on now.
All right. Do we want, or do we want to cover the calendar and events to go ahead and get through 9? Was there anything else on the state budget and legislative issues?
No, that's all I have on that issue. As far as 9B, yeah, we can cover that right now.
Let's sit down there, Tony. I know you're anxious, but let's go ahead and hit 9B with Bianca, and then we go back to item 6.
Tomorrow, the 17th, Wednesday is Eco and Small Counties. The 18th is CSA meeting.
Quick, there won't be an eco meeting tomorrow, but there will be small counties.
On the 18th, our county fair does start and it goes through the 21st. That's all I have for September. If the board has anything to add. October, our first meeting will be the 7th.
So we're gonna go 3 weeks before our next meeting, correct?
Right. Unless you'd like to make it 4 or 5.
I think we'll stick with the calendar.
No county managers, CSA, or ECO for the month of October. Columbus Day on the 13th, our offices will be closed. Our second board meeting will be on the 21st. The CSA summit will start on the 28th and go through the 30th. All I have for October. November 1st, November 4th, Tuesday, our first board meeting. Offices are closed November 11th for veterans. County managers on the 14th, Friday. November 8th, Saturday is the 9th annual.
9, yeah.
9th annual suicide awareness walk. Oh, I did write 8th.
Yeah, sorry.
The memorial walk for Cody. And our second board meeting will be on November 18th. Eco and small counties on the 19th. ESA on the 20th. Our offices are closed for November 27th, Thanksgiving. And that's all I have for the calendar.
Works for me. Anything to add? Chairman Gomez? Mr. Ward?
There will be a county managers meeting in October, but no other board meeting of CSA until the summer itself.
So
I don't have anything to add.
Anything, Will?
no, sir, I have nothing to add.
All
Chairman
right.
Campbell.
Good deal. Well. Now, Tony, we're gonna move back up to item number 6. And go back to 6D through H and have that follow-up conversation. It's all you, Tony.
Okay, well, we talked to Bancorp and they will not do the buy down immediately. They're in the business to lease, so that's what they're gonna do. So if we pay it down, we'll still have a interest payment through the 5 years. So being that way, I think we eliminate Bancorp and Enterprise, but Bancorp did send me the information for the dealerships and the upfitters that they used. So we can contact them directly and not go through Bancorp.
To purchase.
If we want to, yeah. It's young. It's a young Chevrolet or something in Utah. It's where he got his prices from. Just not sure how much of a discount they get if they use that dealer constantly, and how we would be contacting them and getting the same price for that. A recommendation would be to put the SO vehicles on Table It, and we could contact them and get prices for the vehicles and the upfitting through the upfitter from there. See how, if we can keep that same price, since it is enormously smaller than what.
Right. Okay, I like that idea.
Right. But for the other regular vehicles, I would recommend going to Kempton's for the animal control truck and Courtesy Chevrolet through the rest. And purchasing them outright.
Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, if I could ask, did you figure out how much the total interest would cost on the 2 police vehicles coming out of Bancorp?
No. Got those? But if it's possible to go through the dealer and the upfitter that they have and get the same price we have, we can pay this price. as
Without the
purchase.
interest.
Correct, without
Right.
interest.
About 12,000 on both vehicles? Per vehicles, 24,000 for both of them? And the difference right now between Kempton's and Bancorp is 45,000, so you still, even if you went the interest route, on a 5-year lease, you'd still save about $25,000, 20,000.
The individual from Bancorp Tyler was very straightforward.
Okay. Well, we'll know that. We know what Bancorp can do on the sheriff's vehicles. We have that. Let's table it for the next meeting and then we'll figure out what's the best for Greeley County.
Right, I'll call the dealers and the upfitters directly and see if we can get the same price.
Yeah.
For a purchase.
And I'll volunteer to go pick them up
Yeah.
Okay.
on a BYU football game.
There's only 3, we can get them on the semi.
Shoot.
maybe our manager can get a CDL to drive them up.
I can train him.
So item H, we're going to table, correct?
Yes.
Item D, courtesy. Item E, Kempton.
Item D would be Kempton's.
D,
Oh, I thought
Right.
Animal control was first.
animal, no, it's not, but
All right,
still,
backwards.
So it's courtesy Kempton, courtesy table.
Courtesy Kempton, courtesy table.
Yep. So I think in the motion, we'll do them individually, but starting with D, and we'll give the total amount or the amount of the vehicle.
So let's get started and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
I move that the, let's see here.
Well, we'll
We're
start
starting
with
with D, right?
D, correct.
I move that with the two 3/4 ton 2x4 4-door trucks with service boxes for facilities management be purchased through Courtesy Chevrolet
Mm-hmm.
in the amount of $59,922.47 each.
All right. I agree with that motion. Do I hear a second?
I second that motion.
All right, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. All right, agenda item E.
I move that we purchase a 1/2 ton 4x4 4-door extended cab truck for the animal control department in the amount of $47,774.40 from Kempton Chevrolet.
All right,
I second that motion.
okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. All right, agenda item F.
I move that we purchase two full-size SUVs for the fleet department.
Actually, item F is the 2 3/4 ton 4x4.
3/4 ton 4x4 long bed trucks for the roads department in the amount of $49,937.11 each
From,
from Courtesy Chevrolet.
all right.
I second that motion.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. All right, now to agenda item
Aye.
G.
Agenda item G, I move that we purchase a full-size SUV for the fleet department in the amount of $64,797.77 from Courtesy Chevrolet.
And I second that motion.
All right, been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, aye. Motion passes. Agenda item H.
I move that we table
Mhm.
agenda item H until a future meeting date to receive further information on upfitting and purchase price.
Excellent. Do I hear a second on that? All right, been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, agenda item 6H is tabled. We'll move into agenda item 10, which, thank you, Tony. Agenda item 10, which is the consent agenda.
I move that we adopt the consent agenda as written on our agenda.
I second that motion.
All right, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. All right, we'll move into agenda item 11 and supervisory reports. Do you have anything to report, Mr. Warren?
No, I'd just like to put a plug in for the county fair, which will be coming up this Thursday through Sunday. I was out there yesterday, walking the property and, visiting with some county, employees. Looks like it's on the road to being a great success. Everyone make sure they attend and enjoy the fun.
Awesome. Mr. Chairman?
All I have is I just wanna thank you gentlemen and the staff for my absence, and my plan is to return on the first meeting of October. And thank you for all you do.
All right, thank you very much. I don't have anything to discuss attending a meeting tonight, so I'll have some information to share with you for the next meeting. But with that, this meeting is adjourned. Awesome. What's that?